Hey, good evening. I'd like to call the December General Business and Reorganization meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pauline, please call roll.
Mr. Ambrose,
Present.
Ms. Del Castro,
Here.
Mr. Bloom,
Here.
Mr. King,
Here.
Mr. Moab,
Here.
Mr. O'Neill, Mr. Ross,
Here.
Dr. Eunice, Mr. Zeritsky.
Here. Okay, so I do not see any public comment on agenda items in the screen. Move on to organizational items, but before we move on to organizational items, I just wanted to say one thing. As we come as a board to the close of our 2020 year, I just want to say thank you to the board, Dr. Perry, Mr. Malley, Colleen, with a lot of the things that we've encountered this year as people have in their homes and businesses and everything else was very challenging. And it's been very challenging as a board. And I think that we have all come together as we've had in the past and really, I believe did the right thing for the community and our students. I hope that everybody else feels the same way. I do want to say and recognize as we close out this 2020 year in our reorganization meeting that thank everybody here for their participation, the focus on what we're here for. It's for educating our youth in Central Valley here. So I do want to say that before we move on to organizational items. So thank you to the Central Valley Board of Education. Under organization, there's going to be an election of officers. It'll be the majority of those that are present and voting, which so where no such majority is achieved on the first ballot, second ballot will be cast for the second candidate who receives the greatest number of votes. So I would like to have an election of a temporary president. If I could now accept nominations for a temporary president. Mr. Bloom?
Nominate George Zeritsky.
Okay, Mr. Bloom has nominated myself as a temporary president.
Second.
Mr. Moad, is there any further nominations? Seeing none, there's no objections. I declare these nominations closed.
George, you need a motion to close the nominations.
Okay, can we have a motion to close the nominations? Mr. Moad, second, Mr. Ross. Okay,
All those in favor?
all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the motion of temporary president is moved. So we will now move on to the election of a board president. I will now accept nominations for president. I myself would like to nominate Ms. Donna Castro for president. Motion second, Mr. Ambrose. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposed?
You have to, are there any other nominations for the position?
Are there any other nominations for the position?
Hearing none, could ask for a motion to close the nominations.
Okay, hearing none, I ask for a motion to close the nomination. Mr. Moad, second, Ms. Belcastro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The newly elected president will now take the reins. Congratulations, Ms. Belcastro.
I just want to say thank you for your confidence in me. I hope I can live up to your expectations going forward. So, bear with me here. All right, so I will now accept nominations for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Ambrose.
Okay, nomination from Mr. Amber,
Second.
second by Mr. Zirinsky. Are there any further nominations?
Close the nominations.
Closing nominations?
Motion to close the nominations.
Okay, there are no objections. I declare the nomination.
You have to ask for a
Ask for a
motion.
motion to close.
Oh, do I have a nomination to close?
So moved.
So moved. Second,
That's
All right,
Seconded by
Mr. Moad,
Moad.
All those in favor?
favor,
aye.
Opposed?
Any opposed?
opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
You're okay to take your mask off if you want to. You're okay.
Huh?
You're okay to take your mask off.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Now what do I do? So, all, Mr. Ambrose, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Ambrose. Are you coming over here now?
You want me there?
Of course.
Move seats.
Yes. I'm going to ask, do I say who these guys are here, or do I just read it like the way to the point?
You can take nominations to appoint whoever is representative, let them know.
So next one is to appoint representatives, a representative and an alternate to the Beaver Valley Joint School Committee. These terms will expire December 31st, 2021. Currently, they are held by Mr. Ross and Mr. Bloom. Do we have any?
I have a motion to keep them the same.
Second.
Motion
Is
is,
that good? All in favor?
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Congratulations,
Motion carries.
Mr. Ross and Mr. Bloom. E, to approve the 2020 mail election ballots for the Beaver Valley Joint School Board, the Beaver Valley Joint School Committee, and the Beaver County Career and Technology Center Joint School Board. On your, by your spot, there are ballots. Please sign the ballots and turn them over to Colleen. Motion? I don't have to have a motion?
You're all voting,
Paper ballot.
and everyone's voting themselves?
Yes.
Then no, there's no need to.
Okay. Public comments on agenda items? I
I
don't have
didn't see any.
anything. Do you? There's not.
Not at this time, there's not.
None on the spreadsheet.
Okay, all right. Agenda items, board items. Number one, to adopt the calendar setting the day, place, and time for the school board meetings, both working and voting sessions as shown on attachment A. Number two, to designate the Beaver County Times as a newspaper of general circulation for legal advertisement. Do I have a motion on items 1 and 2? Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Ross. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yes, items. The following bills and reports are submitted for approval. A, pay bills. Number one, confirm the November 2020 general fund payments in amount of $2,587,232.09, which is attachment B. Number two, confirm the November 2020 cafeteria fund payments in the amount of $51,630.95, which is attachment C.
So moved.
The motion for items 1 and 2.
Moved.
Mr. Zirinsky, motion second. Mr. Ambrose, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm supposed to-
C does not require a vote. It's just,
Okay.
this is just an information.
Okay. All right. So education items is an FYI. There will be a presentation, January 13th, 2021, work session to present information from the education and the finance committees regarding the feasibility of implementing a full-day kindergarten program.
Where would that be held at?
We have to determine where we want to hold that. If you want to do it inside, we would be limited to a total of 68 people in the auditorium.
The auditorium is right now, at
68 people.
same time, 7 o'clock?
It would be a 7 o'clock meeting.
Okay.
Would
Correct.
it be maybe wise to put something online for a sign-up sheet that we could see prior to, and if we would have to move it, or, you know, if there's too many people, find maybe a different venue, or if there's, you know, not as many people, Maybe hold it in here? Is that possible? Is that a good idea? Mr. Miller?
To do whatever we want to do.
Could do a Google sign up.
Smart idea.
If somebody asks, I don't understand the Google thing without,
Right, so we would put something on the website that announces that we're having the board meeting. We would put something on the website that announces potentially where it would be. And if someone wanted to attend in person, we would have them sign up online. And that would give us an idea of how many people were actually going to come,
okay.
kind of like an RSVP.
So if they don't sign up and then you do get a influx of people, you can always move it?
Yeah, I don't think you can't limit anybody, but it's just for planning purposes to say, hey, we're going to get a sense of how many people are interested here. So if there are a large amount of people, we can move the meeting to the auditorium, possibly prepare for an overflow to just stream it into a classroom or to this room or something like that. It would just be for planning purposes.
Okay,
Just to get an idea and basis of what we need to prepare for so that everybody has an opportunity.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Castro, as part of that presentation, I'd like to see the findings from the original feasibility study for renovations and construction that we did. As a board, I'd like to see that with the priorities, why we chose what we chose, what the costs were and what the reasoning.
You do in the finance part of it and the implementation of it, correct?
I would say that we're going to report out on the finance piece and we're going to report out on the education committee piece.
This is from the original feasibility that we did when we did the original construction and we prioritized Todd Lane, the middle school, the high school, and Center Grange. That's what I'd like to see as part
To
of it.
work with Ms. Belcastro to make that happen.
Just one question. I mean, this is all going to be done verbally. It'd be nothing, if there's participants there to see it on a screen or anything else like,
No, there would be a presentation done.
is that right?
Is it just like the one we
Yeah,
did
we
for the
would do a
board?
presentation, correct.
Okay. Okay. Personnel items. Number 1, to approve an FMLA request for an elementary teacher from January 20th, 2021 through June 4th, 2021. Number 2, to approve a request for an elementary teacher pursuant to the expanded FMLA provision, Families First Coronavirus Relief Act. The leave is approved for a specific duration of 2 weeks and shall commence on December 1st, 2020 and expire on December 11th, 2020. The district reserves the right to refuse any request to rescind the leave. Actions required, motion on 1 and 2.
There's no-
Okay,
Mr.
Ambrose.
King, second. Mr. Moad, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
All right,
carries.
so before you get into finance, there's actually a mistake with regards to the finance item. So what is written here for number 1 is going to change. And Ms. Belcastro, you have the new wording there.
Okay. Finance items, number 1, to approve resolution 2020-04 authorizing proposed preliminary budget display and advertising.
Motion.
Is there a motion? Yes.
The motion.
Motion on item 1.
So moved.
Mr. Bloom, second. Mr. Ambrose, any discussion?
So the numbers are staying? You're advertising these numbers.
Isaac, go ahead, John.
So what we're asking the board to do tonight is the approval to advertise in the Beaver County Times, our current numbers, and I'll just, the revenues of 39,284,555, the expenditures of 38,842,510, which is a surplus of 442,045. So we'll advertise that. And then the month of January, we'll do that for 30 days. The month of January, then we'll have on the agenda to approve that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure those numbers are the same.
Would be that item there.
That'll be the numbers right there.
That's correct.
That's all, thank you.
And a month ahead of ourselves.
Trying to end 2020.
As quickly as we can.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Perry?
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to congratulate our new president and vice president. You will do an outstanding job leading not only this board, but leading our school community. And I want to congratulate both of you. You'll do a wonderful job. I also would like to thank and congratulate Mr. Zaritsky for a wonderful job as president. You did a tremendous job as leader of not only this board, but of the school community. You did a wonderful job of leading through the most chaotic time in the history of public education. And I think you should be proud of the job that you've done. And as the words that you provided at the start of the meeting, the job that you have done leading this school district for our children. And you're to be commended for your leadership. And I personally want to thank you for your support of myself and, always being there for anything that we needed as a district. So I couldn't.
Have big shoes to fill.
A big mouth helps.
Let's talk a little bit about where we are education wise. Obviously, we started remote learning this week. As I've said a million times, that our preference is that our children be in school. I think it's the best place for them. I think it's the safest place for them. But obviously, we have a health and safety plan, and we are getting, direction from the Department of Education with regards to remote learning at this time based on incident rates here in the county. We had low numbers of incidents within the school. And I think that really is a tribute to the mitigation efforts that have been done here. When we return, I'm confident that, we'll get right back to where we were before we went remote. That being said, looking at the last week's incident rates for the county, if you recall, the last time that we had a board meeting, I provided numbers for you that Beaver County for the week of November 6th through November 12th was at a 162.1 incident rate for, the 100 per 100,000 people. As of last Friday, those numbers are up to, those numbers are up to 300, I think it's 310.
313.
315, thank you, Dave. It's not in front of me. So obviously, things have not gone down. They've actually doubled almost. So that number continues to leave us insubstantial, as well as the percentage rate is now at like 10.9% or something like that, which takes us over the 10% threshold as well. So we are, as a county, still in substantial with regards to our designation for spread. So, at this point in time, I don't foresee that those numbers are going to change by tomorrow. I anticipate we will be substantial again. As you know, the recommendation is 2 weeks of moderate before you consider jumping out of a remote learning setting. So my anticipation is tomorrow we will still be substantial. Originally, we said we would consider coming back, I believe December 11th is Friday. I don't anticipate that that's going to happen. I anticipate that I'll be making an announcement that we will probably be out remote the following week and then day and a half, because we have a day and a half day of school. So for the foreseeable future, I guess those next 6.5 days after the 11th, I'll be making an announcement. We will continue remote learning at this time. As far as remote learning goes, I believe the first week went relatively well, or has gone relatively well. We are well attended as far as the students and our attendance rates. I believe at the high school, we were at 94% attendance. The middle school is like 89% attendance for the week on the average of the days. Todd Lane and Center Grange were both like 96%-ish. So the kids are definitely logging on. And they definitely are here as far as participation in class. And speaking with the building principals in each of the 4 buildings, Center Grange, the biggest issue is, adult supervision or lack of adult supervision for some of the kids because obviously the parents can't be home. Sometimes our adults are tending to ask questions in the class when really the adults should not be interacting with the teachers. But it's a learning curve for all of us. We understand that, and we sent some communication home asking that the parents be mindful of that. Because of the age of the kids, some of the students are logging on and off at will. But and we've had some trouble with sound from the Google Meets. We believe that's related to an update that needed to be done to the iPads. That update happened over break. It's very easy for us to get the older students to update iPads. All we do is send them an email telling them they need to update this and they take care of that. A little more difficult with the little ones because now we're talking about getting the parents to make sure that the update gets done. So we're working through those. Todd Lane reported a good week, minimal problems with technology. Most of the teachers reviewed, or not most, all the teachers reviewed expectations for logging in to the Google Meet and navigating through Shobi prior to going virtual. So they believe the kids are pretty well versed in that. Middle school, the updates were the only issue with regards to some of them being the muffled sound that we talked about. But it says from the middle school, once they ran the update, things are running smoothly. High school, things have been good. Before we went remote, 70% of the students that last week were remote already. So it's secondhand to them. Their biggest issue at the remote with the high school kids is kids being tardy to class or kids not going to the class. Like, maybe they'll miss a class or they'll skip a class or whatever the case may be. So, we're 3 days in and we'll work through those issues as we move forward. I want to once again thank, our community, our school community, our parents for being understanding. And I want to say this, and I hope it's heard. There was a ton of consideration given by this board. We understand that for some of you folks that both of you work and it's difficult, and we get that, especially with the little ones. And that was not a decision that's been taken lightly. The Department of Education has made it, very, very difficult to do face-to-face learning within the COVID spread situation that we're in within the county right now. And speaking with our nurses, our hospitals are starting to become taxed as well. So, it's a bad time right now around the country. Obviously, it's very well publicized, but it's a bad time here in the county. And, we're gonna do everything we can to get our kids back in school as quickly as possible. And I ask the parents, please be patient and work with us. Report issues that you're having, and we're doing the best we can to stay on top of that. But all in all, I think for the most part, knock on wood, for the most part, I think the first few days have gone relatively well. But I don't want to paint a picture there hasn't been any issues, because there have been, and the ones that there are, we're trying to address as quickly as possible. And I think the sound issue is something that we're on top of, and that I believe has been resolved. Some other things just to consider with regards to, our students. One of the huge positive before us going out, the fact that we had the kids here all the way up through Thanksgiving. The teachers know the kids. Had we been all virtual, not saying they wouldn't get to know the kids, but certainly the teachers know the kids, having been with them, having interacted with them. So that certainly has helped as well. And, the other positive is, if there is a positive to this, is that our students are continuing to get live instruction. So they are getting one-on-one instruction with the teachers. I see a question came in about, is this the safest place for kids? Then why are we, Ed, can you take care of, thank you. Why are we holding to the rest of the county? If the teachers union that's mandating the kids stay home, that's not accurate. It's not the teachers union. Who's stopping them from having kids come back? You said you want the kids at school, especially for keeping us remote. The Department of Education, yes. The Department of Education is a major factor in why we're out. I appreciate that you appreciate that all we do. And when I say that we feel the school is the safest place, I can't tell you what's going on with kids and families as far as mitigation goes. What I can tell you is when they're in school, they're masked. I can tell you when they're in school, they're washing their hands. I can tell you those types of things are taking place. They're social distancing. So, we're doing the best we can. When they're here, I can tell you the kids are mitigating, but I can't tell you what happens outside of school. And that's what I mean by when I say I think the safest place for the kids is in the school. And also mentally, socially, emotionally, I think that the safest place for kids to be is in school. I don't think that this is healthy for any of us to be isolated. But it is what it is, and it's a crazy time here, and we're gonna do the best we can to continue to work those things out. So not only I want to thank the parents, but I want to thank our teaching staff once again. Our teaching staff has done another shift. They've gone now to complete remote learning with our kids. They're coming in every day to the school to teach from their classrooms. And, they're doing a heck of a job. I've received tons of compliments from parents through email, thanking the teachers for the hard work that they're doing. And we're trying to make the best of, not an ideal situation. So we will do everything we can to get back as quickly as possible. But right now, and I heard these numbers today. Every county is different. I heard 403 out of the 500 school districts across the state are complete remote learning. So I can't verify that. It was a source from the IU, but I mean, that kind of shows you that it's not just Beaver County and or Central Valley School District, but this is really what's going on across the state. So bear with us, hang in there. We'll try to continue to communicate home frequently and do the best we can to be responsible of your needs. And, God bless us all and hope that we can get through this as quickly and as safe as possible. And as Mr. Zaritsky eloquently said, we can't get out of 2020 quick enough. So that's my report for this evening.
Dr. Perry, real quick, you had mentioned that some of our students aren't logging in and are being late logging in, et cetera. How do we handle that as a school district?
So we have mandatory attendance like we do anywhere else. If we have students that are not attending school, then we'll go to the magistrate and deal with those types of things as well.
Okay, so it's the same, same, okay.
Absolutely. We're still required to do the same attendance requirements.
And the parents and students are aware of that? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Board comments. Mr. Ross, I'm going to start with you.
Congratulations to both, your new president and new vice president. I'd like to echo what Dr. Perry had said about what Mr. Zelitsky did as a president for the last 2 years. I thought he did an excellent job. He handled some of these board members got out of control. Okay, I thought you did a real nice job, and hopefully we can continue to carry on that way.
Mr. Bloom.
Echo what Mr. Ross said. Thank you for a good job, George. Congratulations. Look forward to working with you this year, next year coming up.
Mr. Zaritsky.
Of course, I have something to say. One thing, and it's kind of an echo a little bit, but I do feel confident in our COVID plan. And I think that it's imperative and that we ask that the community bear with the district, that we need to stick to this plan. We need to follow the structure that's in there to be successful. And if we are out, it's because that's what the plan dictates based off of factual data that comes into us, and just continue to move along. As Dr. Perry said, track the numbers, and when they get to the right spot, go back to what the plan says. Give the parents the option if they want to send their children back. If they don't, we still have other options available, and to continue with what we have in place. And if there needs to be some sort of change to the plan, then we evaluate that as a board and administration with involvement from the community as it was developed. So.
Mr. King.
So I'd like to congratulate you and Mr. Gross. You'll do a good job. I'd like to thank Mr. Zaritsky. I think he did an excellent job. It's a time-consuming job, and I think you handled it well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Just kind of what everybody else said. I think George did a wonderful job. I was very impressed with his leadership over the last few years. I look forward to the two of you being the leaders now. I think we have a very strong board across everybody. It's tenured. Everyone has the children's best interest at heart. So I congratulate the two of you. And when it comes to our COVID plan, I think we need to keep doing what we said we were going to do. Don't vary from the plan that we have in place. I think that's one of the strongest suits of our board, is that we've always put plans in place. We've stuck to those plans, and that's why we've been successful. So I hope we continue to do that as we move down the road.
First thing I'd like to do is congratulate our football team and coaches for putting us on the map for the first ever Pennsylvania State Football Championship. Represented us well and hope to turn 1 into 2 and 2 to 3. So that's one thing. Second thing is, I know you said a lot of things about George, and I'd like to just comment on as well. You being the youngest board member here, most of us are retired or near retirement. And I think you handled a lot of different personalities in such a great way. I mean, it started with Todd Lane Construction with you as an asset there, along with former board president, Mr. Moed. You guys did a good job with the Todd Lane Construction. And again, just the whole COVID process. Again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Okay. My last thing is a question. When we meet in January, there'll be new committees and committee chairs, et cetera.
That's up to the board president to
Okay.
determine who the committee chairs are in the committees.
So basically, if anyone has a particular suggestion that they want to be on a certain committee, whatever, they would forward that to Donna.
That's up to Donna to determine how to do
Okay.
it.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Castro, do you have a plan of keeping them the same or changing them? In the past, I know they've either been kept the same or we send out requests.
To look at them, and I was going to maybe make some changes, but I mean, if there's something I appreciate when you ask me what I would be interested in. So if anybody would like to tell me what they would be interested in, I would keep that in consideration.
Just as a suggestion, in the past, when we've opened them, we've sent out something to all the board members, maybe with their first 4 requests, because you can't always, like, everybody's on 3 committees and chairs 1. So maybe to send something out and just say, here, or everyone send you a request, here are your top 4 requests for committees.
Good wish list.
We certainly have helped out of my office with Colleen as the board secretary, has helped in the past with regards to sending that out and getting information. We certainly, if you wish, we'd certainly be willing to help gather that information for you.
Okay, appreciate that. Again, I'm just going to say thank you, George. I mean, it was an honor serving as your vice president. I mean, I hope I learned some things from you, and really, I did not envy you being the president this year. So, thank you for everything. Again, the staff, the Dr. Perry, the administrators, Mr. Miller, thank you for all your hard work. I mean, it has been a struggle. Let's hope we get through the holidays. Everybody has a good holiday and a safe holiday. We'll come back in January, and 2021 is a little bit better than this 2020. So with that, do I have a motion?
Well, we have
well,
public comment, I believe, one more time. If I'm not mistaken. Yep, public comment one more time.
Okay.
So I do have public comment here. And once again, this is from Christopher Brett. Says, thank you for your response. Lastly, how much curriculum has been slowed down because of COVID, virtual hybrid learning? My fear is the kids will be in current grades further behind. The kids in previous years, not knock on Central Valley at all. Asking about the general national model. If kids were 100% virtual for the whole year, would they finish the same point in the previous classes the previous years? So I will tell you, as far as our expectations go for the teaching staff, deliver our curriculum as if the kids were here face to face. Understanding that obviously with the little ones, we have to have some realistic expectations, but our intent is to continue to provide instruction as we would as if kids were here. So there's no slowing down of the curriculum. Back in March, obviously, when we went 100% virtual, that was less engaging because we were not in a synchronous learning environment back at that time. So this is nothing like we were back in March. So I would say that, our expectation is that we're not leaving anybody behind. I will tell you that we did benchmark assessment testing for all of our kids whenever they came back to start school. And as far as learning loss goes, we were very happy to see that we did not have a huge learning loss that we thought that we may have gotten from back in March, April, May, so on and so forth. So our anticipation is that the rigor will remain the same and that, our students will continue to hopefully thrive and end up at the end of the year where they should be. So I hope that answered your question. And those are the only two public comments we have. Now,
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Zirinsky, second. Mr. King,
those in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries.